NFL Week 10 best bets. Back with Jake. He was gone last week, but Jake, you had a pretty
Back.
good week last week. We missed you. It was a fun
Yeah.
stream last time out. But Jake, talk to me. How are you, bro? Nice to see you. Thank you for being back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah, last week was my best week in the NFL. So I think I went plus 6 point something units at the end of the day, hit first touchdown scores. I only missed 2 plays and they were a plus 350 touchdown score and plus 200 touchdown score. So other than that, all my straights and everything hit, which love to see it. And, never expect a plus 6, plus 7 unit day will take any profit, but those ones feel good.
Absolutely. Recapped on stream Monday, but for everybody here, it was a great week for props. Game lines were also great, except for totals. Went 0-3 on totals, all missing by within a possession, which was annoying, but all in the game, so no complaints. We ended up killing our Monday night props as well, which was great. So ended up being a slightly positive week overall. So all we can do is keep that momentum going and get after it. So we obviously have a pretty fat slate as always. Jake and I are going through every single game, and we are going to give out our favorite game line plays as well as our favorite touchdown scores when there are odds available. There's not going to be odds available at most books. Like if it's only 365, we're going to pass. But if there are odds available, we will go into that. And we're, of course, going to get started with Thursday Night Football. So give me 1 second, as always, to get out the promo.
One of the plays, Eric, that I missed was Calvin Austin to score a touchdown, and he literally got tackled at the 1 yard line on that one play. I was like, oh, he couldn't. He's a short little guy. He couldn't be like 6'3" or something and reach across and get that through the door. But it's all good. I'm not that greedy.
Not that greedy. That was probably what, like a 3 plus 300 at least, right?
Yeah, it was plus 350, but I only had I had 0.3 units on it, so it's not like it was to win over 3 units, but still, I think it was 0.3 units to win like 1.4 or something.
So that would have been a fun one, but
would have been nice. It would have been nice, nonetheless.
Of course, can't win them all in that regard. But Jake, let's hop in here and let's dive in. So we have a Thursday night game. We have an AFC West showdown: Denver Broncos, Las Vegas Raiders. Broncos coming off a W, and the Raiders doing Raider things, unfortunately incapable of getting a dub against the Jaguars here. Jake, you and I have talked about Denver in depth, I think, over some teams a bit more, where, of course, we're both in agreement about how terrible Bo Nix is. However, they still did pull off that win against Houston, and they are 7-2.
They pull off a lot of wins randomly.
But he still sucks. He still freaking sucks. Las Vegas, we know that they're in the dumpster. It's they trade Jacoby Myers this week. They lose a weapon on the outside. Bowers is back, and not many things better in the NFL than a tight end like Brock Bowers, who can absolutely go crazy, but still resulting in, again, that tough loss in OT, 30-29, as they went for 2 to try to win it. All in all, Jake, ramble aside here, the Broncos are laying 9.5. Talk to me. That seems like a lot of points. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, and I don't see where Vegas is going to have any success scoring. They are clearly tanking to an extent. They traded away their number 1 wide receiver. It is great to see Brock Bowers back, literally, he hasn't skipped a beat. He's making one-handed catches in the end zone. He's getting a shit ton of yards. But I mean, this Denver defense is no joke. I don't really see them having much success through the air. The 9.5 is so ugly. You'll never catch me laying 9.5 with Denver. So I don't. For once, I think this is the first time I'm on one of these Wednesday streams and I don't have any official plays for this game. On the Denver side, screw Bo Nix, honestly. Mm-hmm. And Vegas they're not a terrible pass defense. They're like a middle-of-the-pack pass defense, so I don't see him doing anything crazy, and I definitely don't see them able to run the ball at all. This has been a strength of Denver all season, is being able to run the ball, but Vegas low-key has a top 10 rush defense. So this is their strength on strength. Denver's good at running the ball. Vegas is good at stopping the run. 9.5 points is just crazy to me. I have a heavy lean on the under. I'm probably going to play it at 42.5. And then I do have a prop I kind of like. I like Harvey to go over 2.5 receptions at plus 145 on Bet365. Most of these lines I saw yesterday, so there might be better options out there right now. We know Bo Nix sucks. I just said it like 4 times in this one spiel. But these little dump off completions should be there for him. And Harvey's coming off of a game where he just had 5 receptions. He has a receiving touchdown in the last 3 games. So, with that being said, my touchdown scorer is also Harvey at 225. That was on DK yesterday. I think there's good value, especially since he's clearly a threat through the air to get into the end zone as well. At plus 225 against a Vegas defense, I don't see why I wouldn't want to sprinkle a little bit there. So nothing really. I lean under. I like Harvey having a decent day, catching the ball, getting in the end zone, but no, just this line isn't enticing to me. But what do you think?
No, I totally agree with you. I love the Harvey look as well. Looks like you got a great price because right now we're seeing a best 215. So locked in the 225. That's great. Great job on your half there. Let's look at the total here.
Too.
Yes, sir. DK having lines up, of course, with the game being tomorrow. We did see some 41s, and it did get bet up to 42.5. Of course, still a very low total, all things considered, but does speak volumes to one, how Denver's offense at this point, like, they can create explosives like after the play. And like the thing I will say about Denver, and this is more about Sean Payton than anything, is like despite how bad Bo Nix is, he's still Sean Payton still is calling these deep shots down the field. They're still giving the offense the opportunity to create these explosives. And like I saw a chart today on Twitter, I'll try to find it, but it was basically talking about the most yards missed by a quarterback. And Bo Nix was like by far the most yards missed. It was something like, don't quote me on it exactly because I'm not looking at the chart, but if my memory serves me, it was something like the median of the pack was at like 300-ish yards missed, say like 300 to 400, and Bo Nix was at like 700 to 800 yards missed.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. I thought you were going to say like 400.
No. Bo Nix was like on an island by himself. I honestly think I could pull this up quickly, but I'll see if I can get it quickly. Not going to waste too much time trying to find this. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these NFL analytics, man, they're getting better all in all. But long story short, though, the thing is like they're still going to try to attack down the field, which could make this like if there's some regression per se, and like some of these big plays do actually happen, then it's going to be a situation where like maybe the Broncos can put up a big scoring margin. But again, even though this Denver team has even beaten like a Cowboys team with a terrible defense by 20 plus points, I just find it really hard to believe that Bo Nix and the Broncos are like a win by margin team. But at the same time, it's a situation where it's going to be really difficult for them for the Raiders to score points. And I actually found the tweet. Let's look at this chart here. Yards left on the feet at Padden Analytics. You have Bo Nix in like the 700-yard range. And you have Cam Ward closest in the 500. And the rest of the competent quarterbacks, of course, in like 100 to 200-yard range. So great tweet over here. Shout out at Padden Analytics for the data there on X.
Only at like 100 yards. That's not terrible for the young buck.
But his miss rate 9%.
Yeah.
So he's missing people at a high clip. Bo Nix is missing people at a 10% clip and has missed over 700 yards left on the field.
Yeah, it's something.
That's something. But I don't have too much in this game. I actually do have a prop that I like as well. I'm with you on the Harvey touchdown because I think that we're seeing like Harvey getting a lot more usage here. But I actually am interested in Troy Franklin under longest reception. Not a market that I normally like try to attack, but if I do see value come in, I don't really care what it is on. But under at 19.5 at minus 110 at BetMGM. Look at the rest of the market here, like sleeper DFS site with fixed odds 159, DK 120. I think FanDuel was at they're at 17.5 FanDuel. And they're, of course, a sharper book. I'm not showing my right screen here. They're a sharper book in some of these props. So I like the under, see some expected value, DVIGing to FanDuel at 19.5. I am still curious, though, about Marvin Mims. He was like limited in practice, but I think they said he's going to be out. And that's going to, of course, give some more target potential to Troy Franklin, to, Courtland Sutton, who has kind of calmed down a little bit. But I like Franklin's under. Kind of goes against what I was saying, where I could see a situation where if there is like an influx in passing volume for Denver, but at the same time, again, we're looking at how Bo Nix misses people. Franklin, going over this number, looking at the data here, like he's got a couple of very big plays, but oftentimes more of like a possession style. We've seen the market even drop on this number as well. So kind of a fade of Troy Franklin, but that's the only prop I have so far. And I'll be streaming tomorrow. Update schedule for tomorrow. Normally I stream right before TNF, but I'll actually be streaming midday tomorrow for Thursday night. So I'm going to commit to say 12:30 Eastern. I'll be streaming all things Thursday Night Football. But Jake, unless you have any final notes here, can we move on to the next game
I
here?
actually want to pause really quick, and I have a side note. I believe I won a $20 bet versus you 2 weeks ago.
You did.
I don't want your $20, but how about we do this? How about we put together a parlay through plays that we like on this stream, and we'll throw the $20 on it.
Done. Easiest.
Like a little combo parlay action, and when it hits, maybe we'll do like a little giveaway next week.
Absolutely. Stick around to the end because Jake and I will be confirming which of our favorite plays that we're going to be locking into a parlay. That's definitely the move here. Jake let me off the hook, and if we hit, we're definitely going to do a giveaway. We'll see what the odds are of the lay when we get closer to the end of the show. But Jake here, lean at 42.5 TBD if it's going to be a play. And we both like Harvey to get in the end zone. I like Franklin, longest reception under. But Jake, now we're going back overseas. We have another 9:30 a.m. game. We're going to Munich, if I'm not mistaken, Germany edition. Falcons, Colts. Colts, second loss of the year, losing to the Steelers in a game where DJ finally looked like DJ of the Giants. And the Falcons are just the Falcons. And they, of course, lose a close game. They had a chance to actually take a lead. They got the ball back, somehow end up punting, end up losing by 1. And the Falcons are 3-5, despite showing some good things, some bad things. Drake London had one of the best games for a receiver that you're going to see, all for nothing. But Jake, any thoughts on this with the Colts in Germany laying 6.5 and a high total of 48.5?
Yeah, Drake London is a beast. You kind of just said it. This Atlanta offense is such a hot and cold unit, I guess you could say. And now you have Indy, who did add, I know you don't like to call him Sauce. You said he has to earn that back. But they did make an improvement there, regardless of whatever you want to call him. It is an upgrade from what they had. I think that was very important for them. They already looked pretty good, but to add one of the better DBs in the league to that arsenal, that's definitely going to put a little wrench in Atlanta's plans here. And this is an Atlanta team that has struggled to score against decent offenses, but they're so hit and miss. So I don't know how to gauge the offense here. I do think they might be able to run a little bit. I do have faith in Bijan. I mean, you get him the ball. You don't really need that big of a hole for him to make something happen. So he's just one of like a once in a generation type of talent where like people don't move or run like him these days. So I do think that they might be able to have success. It's a big might. Like it's a big question mark for me. And on the Indy side, I mean they're very sound offense, especially through the air. But they just had a major hiccup last week versus Pittsburgh, and I know they only lost by a touchdown, but I'm sure a lot of us watched that game and saw like they were just getting dominated. Pittsburgh defense was making Daniel Jones uncomfortable. He was turning the ball over left and right, and Atlanta's pass defense is pretty good. So I don't think that they're going to have much success through the air. Where I do see Indy having success is on the ground, though. I think Jonathan Taylor should be able to run all over this Atlanta defense. Who really hasn't been good versus the run all season. So I think that is their road to success. I also think it's a good avenue for Daniel Jones, who's coming off, he probably had some deja vu there for a second, being back in New York, throwing the ball to the wrong team, getting sacked left and right, just like typical things that you don't want your quarterback to do. I think handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor and letting him, do his thing is only going to help Daniel Jones and his confidence. But I would lean Atlanta plus 6.5. I don't have a play here. I would love to see like a 7 and maybe I'd consider it. But I doubt that. This was yesterday. I saw 6.5 and books already had a 6 out. So I think it's moving in the other direction. I'd rather just stay off of it. I just can't lay a touchdown with Indy in Berlin versus a streaky Atlanta team that who knows which team we're going to get. This is also overseas. So I feel like these games are always a little weirder than what you could project in the States. As weird of an angle as that sounds, I just feel like it tends to hold true. But I also don't trust Atlanta enough to confidently put money on them right now versus one of the best teams in the league. So nothing there. My touchdown score I do like, though, is Kyle Pitts at plus 255 on DraftKings. Again, that was yesterday. Don't know if it's still available, but I think that's a good price for Pitts to get into the end zone. Didn't play anything, but if I had to pick a touchdown score here, it would be him.
Yeah, so I actually of course, I omitted the Sauce. That was my bad. But obviously, the big news in the NFL is what the Colts did to acquire Sauce Gardner, and we can get to the Jets. We talk about that toilet bowl game in a bit here, but I think Sauce Gardner, like I'm going to call him a mod until he earns back Sauce, but I do think that he is actually, he's still a good football player. It's like a lot of jokes. I'm from New York. I have a lot of friends who are Jets fans. I like to talk smack, so hence why I'm like always more passionate talking smack about the Jets and the Giants at times. But with that being said, the trio now that the Colts have in the secondary of Gardner, Kenny Moore, Ward obviously is on IR after he hurt himself in the in warmups, which is still a crazy underrated story there. But I'm forgetting who their third cornerback is off the top of my head. But long story short is they do have a very good secondary now, and the Colts have pushed the chips in the middle of the table for DJ. And the thing about Sauce or Ahmad is he's actually still under team control. So the Colts now they're thinking. The Colts are thinking, and I would not be surprised. We're going to have to wait till the end of the year, but this is telling me that the Colts are going to eventually pay Daniel Jones, and they have put on paper that they've seen enough because the cap is, of course, going to go up. They have Ahmad under team control, and they also have locked in guys like Pittman. They have other guys on some deals. They have Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, some of the big defensive players as well. So, long story short, on the trade, I think that the Colts, doing what they did to get what they perceive to be a number one corner to really not they didn't have any talent there and they're just going to try to get somebody. And then it's is that really going to work? One guy? No, they're just fortifying a already strong unit for Lou Anarumo. And that kind of leads into my play, even though I'm not saying it's because of Sauce, but I do think that this total is a bit high. This isn't something that I have bet just yet, but I think that 48.5 is high. Now, the Colts are a team that I was relatively high on preseason. I've cashed on a few times this year. It's not like I'm just copping on the bandwagon. I lost their over last week, and I know that they're a dead over team because of how good their offense is. But that being said, I don't know if Atlanta is going to be able to have as much success scoring. And I think that the Colts, because they're overseas, because of a potential run-heavy game plan, even with Jonathan Taylor's ability to break off, 90-yard runs at any point, his rush line is at 93.5 for this game, which is crazy. For him, it's really not that crazy. But long story short, I think scoring might be a bit harder to come by in this one, especially given the overseas fatigue that always happens. So I think that this could be a good recipe for an under. And in terms of touchdown score, I'm going back to my boy Josh Downs. I think I'm 2 for 2 on Downs touchdown props this year. I think what does he have this season? He only has got 3 touchdowns. And I hit on him in 2 of these 3 games. I've only bet him twice. I'm going back to the well. I'm Josh Downs' lucky charm here. Falcons defense is good, and I think that they're going to do their best to, take up what they can from Michael Pittman, as we see here, who's even questionable with a lower body. I know Alec Pierce got a lot of love last week. He was absolutely cooking. Looking at his numbers, he had a massive receiving game, particularly in the first half. He was getting open at will, and they were kind of letting him. He had 115 yards, which, after some back-to-back pretty good games, Pierce is having a pretty solid season. And, of course, Mitchell is out of the picture here. But I think it's a down spot. I don't think Pierce is a 13 targeted game kind of guy. And I do think that this one could be toward the under, considering the general fatigue that I do anticipate coming from an overseas matchup.
Yeah, we'll talk about that trade. I think as good of a move as it was for Indy to acquire a Sauce Gardner, they definitely overpaid for him. No doubt that was a win for the Jets.
They no doubt overpaid, especially when you consider it to comparable deals in terms of just capital, not in terms of position, of course, because I'm going to think of the Micah Parsons trade, which is a 2 first-round pick trade. But do you think it's more of a product of a massive overpay for Indy, or do you think in retrospect, knowing what we know now, it was a massive underpay for Micah?
So I was just going to say, look at the difference in the two. They're paying for Sauce Gardner, who clearly was already on a decline going this season. It's not like he showed that he's being the elite of the elite defensive player of the year material. Micah Parsons has always been Micah Parsons. Then he goes to Green Bay and he continues to be Micah Parsons. So it depends how you look at it, but I think the Green Bay trade or the Green Bay deal with Micah Parsons was great. I think that it was pretty even, but Green Bay probably got the benefit of the doubt with the results. I mean, if Micah got hurt 3 weeks into the season, that sucks. You can never account for that. But based on how he's been playing, you can't. People would pay anything for that right now. Honestly, a lot of teams would. Sauce Gardner, on the other hand, it's not like he was on a steady incline. he was one of the elitist of the elite on that defense, and he was the reason that they were somewhat holding things down. I mean, they weren't at all. He was kind of been declining since last year, and then they're going to go pay top dollar for him. So that's where I don't see it being that great of a trade for Indy, but they're clearly trying to they clearly think they have a shot to go pretty far, and a lot of people do. So I don't blame them for wanting to fill in the gaps, but you also have to think for your future. Like, I would like to say the Jets are doing that, but they've been thinking for their future for like a decade now, and not much has come from it. But I think they would definitely win that trade. Unless Gardner goes and he sauce again for the next half of the season. So I guess it's going to depend on what happens from this point until the end of the season, where you can really judge like, oh, that was a good trade. You know, he could turn up. We know what he's capable of.
Well, the thing about Gardner, and this isn't just a this year chips in the middle deal. The Colts have their core outside of their quarterback, who has definitely earned himself a deal more or less locked up and locked and loaded. So this is the Colts, in my opinion, making a declarative statement that like they're anticipating, one, to pay Daniel Jones, and two, to be in this mix for the next 2 to 3 years because of Sauce's team control of the contract he's under. So the only like disagreement I have is just that like I don't think this is the Colts like, okay, we're trading for Sauce like we see in football with Jacoby Myers, for example. It's an expiring contract. So obviously they're not comparable in that sense, but they're comparable in the sense where like Jacoby Myers at the end of the year, unless you sign him, he's walking, he's gone. Even Micah, they had to get to an agreement on a mega deal. The deal's already in place. Ahmad Gardner is under contract, and I'm not giving him the name still.
But Daniel Jones did this with the Giants. He had a couple good years. He got paid. They paid him instead of Saquon. He brought him to the second round of the playoffs, and then he shit the bed after he got paid. And he tore his ACL. He had other things in there. So I'm just kind of seeing they're probably going to pay him, but it's also like a recurring cycle in my head now where he's surrounded by a lot of good talent. Look, they got rid of Saquon, and what happened? Like nothing. Saquon went and balled out. We know that Jonathan Taylor is probably equivalent to a Saquon skill level, if not, I mean, he's having a better season, but skill level, they're the same type of dude. So I'd be curious to see how he plays consistent seasons, because we've seen a Daniel Jones have a good season. We've seen a Kyler Murray have a good season here and there. It's like, can they do it over and over and over again? That's what makes Mahomes. That's what makes him so freaking good. He does it year in and year out. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, these guys, you could pay them whatever they want because you know that they're not going to just turn off the switch. They've showed that they could do it on a consistent basis. Like, has Daniel Jones showed that yet? Like, I don't think so, you know?
Oh, I don't think he has either. I'm just kind of like trying to give my thought process of their thought process.
Yeah.
As in, I think what they're going to do, whether or not it works out, what happens, of course, it remains to be seen. But I think that this was, again, the Colts showing some faith in DJ and in what they're building and what they've built to start the year, rather than just like, this is our one chance, let's strike while the iron's hot. I think they do still have some of the long form in mind, but that's going to be dependent, of course, on what they end up doing with Jones, how much they pay him, and how he ends up performing continuing on. But speaking of Daniel Jones and his tenure with the Giants, let's talk about the Giants as they head to Chicago to play the Bears. Bears win an absolutely wild one in Cincinnati. I had Bengals money line. That was absolutely miserable how they end up blowing that one, but all in the game. Also had the Niners minus the 2.5, which was sweat-free. They lost by 10, but if you watch the game, that last touchdown was garbage time. The Niners whipped the Giants' ass. This spread, as we see here, went from 3.5 to 4.5. I've been monitoring this one pretty closely because I was interested in Chicago at 3.5. Was wondering if I get a 3, but nope, went the other way to 4.5. That being said, Jake, what are your thoughts on a Bears-Giants matchup? Because to me, I think that we might be seeing the Bears be a bit overpriced at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be on the other end of that stick, unfortunately. And I'm not a Chicago guy. I'm really, really not. But I'm definitely not a Giants guy. And here's why. I have a play. So I'll get to that in a second. But the Giants, like, I'm still not behind Jackson Dart having a good passing game. But
No,
the thing is, Chicago's pass defense stinks. So, like, maybe he'll be able to throw the ball, but we haven't seen it yet. We really haven't seen it. And then running, same thing. Like, since Scadaboo got hurt, Jackson Dart is their leading rusher, I'm pretty sure. But at the same time, Chicago can't stop the run. So it's very hard to gauge what we're going to get from the Giants. What I like is Chicago's matchup on offense versus the Giants defense. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball, and I'm not a fan of Caleb and the Bears, but this is more of a fade of the Giants pass defense. I've been on this stream and preached how good they were at the beginning of the year, stopping the pass. They were a top 10 pass defense, and that's really fallen off in the last 3-4 weeks. And dude, the Bears have momentum right now in the NFC North with a win last week and a Green Bay and Detroit loss. Like, that was huge for them. I think they're going to ride that momentum. It's not like they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs or some crazy team that is amazing. I think they're going to run all over the Giants. Even with Swift out, what's his face? Monangai looked like an animal last week. And yes, It was versus Cincinnati, but guess who the only team in the league is that's worse at stopping the run right now? It's the Giants. So who says he can't do that again? So I do have a best bet in this game. I did lock in Chicago -3.5 at -108. That was on FanDuel yesterday. I would still play this, though, at 4.5. I think they win by at least a touchdown. For all those reasons that I mentioned, I don't see the Giants stopping the Chicago offense, and I think the Giants offense is a giant mystery right now. I also like Romo Dunes to score at +160. That was on Hard Rock Bets. A lot of these touchdown scorers were only available on Hard Rock when I looked yesterday, so might be some better prices, might be some worse, but what are you seeing here?
Seeing 150 here at DK, 160, 365. Hard Rock down to 145.
All right, so there's still 160 out there. But yeah, Chicago -3.5. I locked that in. I mean, it's not. I'm not saying I play a -6, but I think they win definitely by a touchdown pretty comfortably.
So I don't really disagree. I was looking towards Chicago in the first place, and what it breaks down to me is like the two things that I thought like were going against one another. One would be the Bears' offensive line, which still to me is not a good unit in this Giants pass rush, which has not performed well this season. Overall, though, they still have those dogs up front, which I think could provide some pressure to Caleb. And we know Caleb is not accurate. But after thinking about it more and kind of like, I guess I was a bit reluctant to give Ben Johnson his flowers, not because I was trying to be a hater, but just because, just to kind of like wait and see. But like the truth of the matter is, as it stands right now, is he's doing a great job offensively scheming, which is not surprise. It shouldn't be surprising because of what he did in Detroit. I just didn't know if it would translate from an OC to an HC, but it has. He's getting creative. He's bringing out all the tricks. They're doing some great things on offense. They're, running the trick plays. They're getting guys open. Caleb has done a decent-ish job of getting things done. But if Caleb's getting assaulted all game long by, Dexter Lawrence and co., maybe it's a different scenario if he's under pressure. And that was kind of what I was thinking initially. But then kind of based on what Ben Johnson's done, I think it's probably more likely at this point that he's going to have game plans in place to nullify some of this pass rush that the Giants can throw at him. And also, like you mentioned there, the run defense on the Giants side, like Kyle Mungai, I saw a stat, or I don't even know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name again, but I saw the stat where he had, I think it was like 51 yards. He had 51 rush yards over expected last week against Cincinnati, and DeAndre Swift has only 45 this entire season. So this is a situation where like the kid is looking much more spry and much more useful, where it's like, we know running back shelf lives are short. We know running backs don't necessarily realistically matter. And you have to caveat that when you think about Jahmyr Gibbs, McCaffrey, Bijan. So those guys are weapons. They're not running backs, but general running backs don't matter. And Monangai, he can absolutely do anything, even if Swift is out, even if Swift is in. Hopefully they do give the ball to the kid. So I thought I was going to bet the Bears, but honestly, at this point, I thought I was going to bet the Giants. First, I was going to get the Bears. Then I thought I was going to bet the Giants. I'm officially staying off as the market has moved because it does show me that there is interest in Chicago. And from a touchdown perspective, I love your Odunze pick, especially because like I don't know if you saw it though too, Jake. You see his dad chirping the team on Twitter?
No, I did not see that. Who's he chirping?
He was chirping the coaching staff, saying, "Why is my boy not getting balls?" As we saw him not score a touchdown. What was his?
That. Makes me like it that much more, though.
He had a 0-piece.
Parents pissed. Like, have these coaches not coached Little League? You don't want to piss off the parents. Pop Warner, you know, your kid didn't get the ball. The mom was running on the sideline, being like, "Why aren't you giving my kid the ball?"
His dad was
Hate
taken
that.
to the mean streets of Twitter, calling out the Bears for not giving him enough action after only seeing 3 targets in a game where they scored 47 freaking points. Only had 3 total targets, 0 yards in that game, 0 touchdowns. Odunze's dad took to Twitter, but for me, I think it's back to the well. I'm curious what Monanga's price is. Always minus 200. Never mind. So that's way too out of range here. And back to your Jackson Dart comment, just my final like overall thoughts, because I don't have a play. Look, I pulled it up briefly while you were talking, but I just want to pull it up one more time to emphasize. This man in the National Football League has thrown for 200 yards one singular time. 2 times, excuse me. One's with 202. He's thrown for 200 plus yards twice. That is not good quarterbacking. That is not the signs that this guy is the next, good player. And to me, it's obviously not surprising, Jake, because you've been here on stream with me every week. I've been saying, hold the freaking brakes on this kid. He's not him.
You want to know what makes this that much worse of a stat right here? Is the fact that they were losing all these games and they had to probably throw the ball, and he still couldn't clear 200 more than 2 times. Like, it's not like they were, other than the Denver game, it's not like they were waxing these teams and they were pounding the ball. Like, they were probably losing and they had to throw, and he still can't throw over 200 yards. That's crazy.
Obviously, no Neighbors. Theo Johnson can't catch. He catches touchdowns, or that's it. Otherwise, he can't catch. Wan'Dale's obviously overall.
I think Slayton's back.
Slayton's back. Slayton played pretty solid overall last game, but not really, because they got smoked by the Niners.
Still needs someone throwing the ball, though,
Absolutely. So he has a little bit more help, but Jake with the Bears minus 3.5, he locked in, got great closing line value, or we'll see how it closes, but looking like he's got some good CLV. I'm inclined gun to head here. My favorite play would be the over, but I have not bet anything in this one, but we'll keep moving on as we have a full slate here and talking about Jake's Miami Dolphins. And I'm going to start here with just one statement, Jake.
Let's hear it.
I think the Dolphins are live to win outright.
Really?
Yes.
You want to know something, Eric? The fact that they didn't make more moves at the deadline, like, part of me wanted them to do exactly what the Jets did and just be like, let's just clean house. Let's just play for the next couple of years, get good draft picks. But they're so damn stubborn. Like, I feel like they think that they can make a run and win like five games in a row and be like right back in the mix of things. I think that? Absolutely not. Does like the regular person think that? Absolutely not. But that's just like my intuition on how I think they're going to approach the rest of the season. Everyone thinks they're down and out. They probably think that they're not, regardless of the locker room stuff.
Well, Jake, do you not? I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna try to Google it quickly. But do you not remember, because they fired Chris Greer, so they at least took that step? Who was with them for what, like 20 years? Didn't do anything. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna Google this after I pass off to you, because I can bad at multitasking, as we all know. But do you not remember? I think it was last year, could have been 2 years ago, where basically Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, he's 85 years old, and they were talking about how like he will do anything to, try to win a Super Bowl. And of course, like they thought like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they were making the playoffs, that Tua looked like he was good, that they were doing it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I remember distinctly there was essentially like they were talking about how important it was for him to win a Super Bowl before he dies. So I think that your thought process of saying like they're not, that the Dolphins themselves, the people in the building, are not trying to like fully tank and believe that they can win, is because they're getting from the top, basically saying like, we were just in the playoffs, like, I want to win a Super Bowl. I can't go through a full rebuild because I'm 85 years old and who knows when it's going to end. I think that has just as much to do with it as anything.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear that statement, but that could very well be valid. Like, just the way that they've been, even when they had why am I blanking on even when Flores was their coach, they started out like 1-8, and then they won 8 or 9 games in a row, and they were in the wild card hunt, and they missed on the last game. I was like, what are we doing still trying to win these games? Remember when he claimed that he was getting offers, like $250,000 offers to blow games, and he was refusing to do it, even though I'm pretty sure like he lost that lawsuit. But like, that's a worse start. That I've seen this before. I've seen this tale before where I'm like, they got a tank. Like, look at what all these other teams are doing at the deadline, and here they are. They're getting rid of Jalen Phillips, who's coming off an Achilles tear. Like, yeah, he was great, but keep Bradley Chubb, keep all the offensive weapons, which I do. I love Waddle. I hope he's a Dolphin forever, and I think he's an absolute stud. Him and A-Chain could be a great like 1-2 punch if they can get a decent quarterback. But that all like is coming to, all the puzzle pieces are falling together based on that statement. Like, especially even going back to when Flores was the coach and they were 1-8 and they like still were making runs. It doesn't make sense that he was claiming that they were trying to pay him to lose, because if they wanted to win and if our owner wanted to win games before he dies, like that's not all adding up. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see them win this game. I'll be at this game. I'll have boots on ground, but I'm definitely not taking the Miami money line.
Well, here's kind of where I'm interested in Miami, because if you've seen me scrolling here, injuries to Buffalo. Christian Benford, their best cornerback, questionable. Terrell Bernard, linebacker, questionable. Joey Bosa, questionable. They put Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle, on the injury reserve. Panessa, questionable. Michael, I think it's like pronounced Hecht. He got himself hurt. He was playing really well for them. He's hurt. Teron Johnson, questionable. Daquan Jones, questionable. And Oliver on the IR. Taylor Rapp's on the IR. Dorian Strong. So, like, what I think here, and Shaq Thompson also on, he's questionable. This is a situation where there just simply might not be enough manpower for Buffalo. Now, we know how this game went on that Thursday nighter. Miami ended up covering the 12.5, losing by 10, but we know that game was much closer than a 10-point game. And Miami's got, like, I want to say they like got their swagger back, because of course they got smoked on Thursday against Baltimore. But this is a spot where if Miami is not playing entirely from behind, which we know Josh Allen and co. does have trouble, or do have trouble sometimes winning by margin, that I think if Miami can run the football, that we're going to see an Achane, masterclass, as we're accustomed to, because he's a freaking dog. And while Tua is definitely live for a back-breaking interception or fumble every week, because that's like clockwork.
Or both.
I think this could be a game where like the injuries are really just too much for Buffalo. Miami plays Buffalo tight, and despite, again, this horrible record of theirs against the spread, they are 56% this year, covering against Buffalo, covering against the Chargers, covering against Atlanta, and of course Baltimore in that Lamar game back. They got smoked. I think Buffalo plus the 9.5. I doubt we even get to 10. I think if anything, this goes the opposite direction here. I think Miami is live.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see it. My in-laws are all Bills fans. We always play the Bills well. And even going back to that Thursday night football game, like the Dolphins were down 7 with 2 minutes to go in the red zone, and Tua throws an interception. So they were driving to tie the game up. Instead, they give the ball back to Buffalo. Buffalo goes and kicks a field goal, makes it a 10-point game, and it was pretty much over. This is also a huge hangover spot for Buffalo. They're coming off a big win versus Kansas City. Like, arguably, that's probably the best rivalry that we have in football right now is Buffalo, Kansas City, right? I mean, who else would you put in that category over the last half a decade? Big win against them. Now they travel down to Miami with that injury report. I mean, I'm definitely not laying it with Buffalo. They also tend to play down to the level of their competition. They play up to the level of their competition, but they also play down to it a lot. We see that year after year after years. They play bad teams and they don't cover, or they lose outright. And in this game specifically, you listed all those injuries, and a lot of those are on the defensive side. Like, I don't know how Miami's going to stop Buffalo on offense, honestly. I think Buffalo is going to be able to get whatever they want there. My lean, though, is I do have a heavy lean, and it's on the first half over of 24.5. I actually do like it a decent amount. I didn't lock it in yet. I think Buffalo will get theirs, but I also think Miami will be able to get a few touchdowns on the board in the first half. They've started games well. They just don't finish them well, hence the first half play. Like even look in the first game, they were tied. I remember I had Miami +7 or +6.5 in the first half of the Thursday night game against Buffalo. They start games well. So no changes on the offensive side for the trade deadline on the Miami side, like I just said. So I don't mind this first half over. I would obviously love 24.5. That's why I'm kind of waiting it out to see if I can get an even 24. Obviously, that's a key number, or even a 23.5. But even if it goes up to 25, I'll probably still play it regardless. I do also like Malik Washington at plus 325 to get into the end zone. I think, obviously, since Tyreek's been out, Waddle's been the main guy, him and A-Chain, but Washington's been right behind them. And I think at plus 325 for essentially their number 2 receiver right now, no more Waller. So I think that's a great price to sprinkle a little bit on Washington getting into the end zone at home. I think he might be the first touchdown scorer too, but don't quote me on that.
Malik Washington. No, I totally get it because he does get used pretty decently.
They'll give him jet sweeps. It's not like they're only relying on him to catch a couple balls, 5-yard hitches. They're trying to get him the ball. They know he's a playmaker.
Absolutely. So I no disagreements with you there. Overall, my touchdown score going to be basic as hell, but give me H-Man, man. Minus 130, minus 119 if you're a prize picks guy. Definitely add this square to your slip for Sunday. I'm curious to see how this ends up moving here, but I definitely this 125 Fanatics being the best price for most books, Hard Rock as well. But I think it's H-Man is absolutely going to be in a scoring spot in this one with a total of 49.5. Obviously, points are going to be expected to score here. And no, I'm not betting Miami money line, but that being said, I do think that they're potentially live. You mentioned the hangover spot. You mentioned how Miami plays in these situations. Also, it is a mini bye week for Miami as well, as they played on Thursday night when they got smoked by the Ravens. So, if the Dolphins have any gall, then they'll hopefully cover this 9.5. And the last thing I will say on this one, we saw it with the Chiefs game, and we also just seen it with Buffalo all year. They are not afraid to run the football. As a matter of fact, they would prefer to run the football. That's going to eat some time, and that could also help them or hurt them in terms of winning by margin. So I think that if they do continue this ground game, I'm sure they can definitely get some yards at a clip, but Miami does play Buffalo tightly. I think 9.5 at this point, considering how even both these seasons have gone so far, even considering the line was 12.5 in that Thursday night game. Home field is not worth 3 at this point. But with that being said, it is saying that there is a bit of an upgrade on Miami because at this point, there's obviously really no downgrades on Buffalo. So I think Miami plus 9.5 is where I would go in this one.
Don't forget something very important, Eric.
Yes, sir.
I'll be at the game. Boots on ground. I bring a different energy to that stadium. I might be in the 300 sections with my season tickets, but they know when I'm there, and they know when I'm not. I wasn't there on Thursday. Look what happened.
Nothing good.
Smoked. Not even a chance. So.
Not even a chance. Lamar and Co. We're back to roll. We'll get to Lamar and Co.
Lamar's lucky I wasn't there.
Patriots, Buccaneers,
17 Dolphins.
Dolphins would have won outright and would have kept on rolling, but instead they took a nice loss. Which again, as a fan, at this point, is probably good for what you want in the longevity of your team.
Yeah. All right.
Patriots Bucks. Drake May keeps on balling. He's making a legitimate MVP candidate run here. Obviously, JA is the favorite and is I don't think Drake May is actually going to win, but he does. He is 100% firmly in the mix at this point. Baker Mayfield 6-2 Buccaneers. He beat Lang 2.5 at home. The total 48.5. So market definitely expected some points here. Jake, I will say, we talk about how New England has had a cakewalk of a schedule because it's true, and it's not their fault. You can only play who they put in front of you. The Patriots also very easily could be 9-0, considering how this Vegas game went week 1 and also this Pittsburgh game. They had the 5 turnovers. Drake May did not play his best game, but even though Atlanta is like really a middle-of-the-pack mediocre team, I do think like all things considered, they are still like they're not dog water. They're middle of the pack. So that being said, Buccaneers, last game, they had a bye. But prior to that, they absolutely decimated the Saints. They're getting a bit healthier. We know Evans is out, but, Buka should be good to go. Godwin is still questionable with a lower leg. Their offensive line is still banged up. Patriots defense has gotten better all year long. I think, though, Jake, Tampa Bay, even though I know Tampa Bay is good, and I think the Patriots are actually probably real. This is the real test going against a proven multiple-time division winner outside of AFC East. They beat Buffalo earlier this year. That being said, we know divisional games are always a bit like muddy and like, logic gets thrown out the window most of the times in divisional games. I think that fact that we're getting Tampa Bay under a field goal, I love Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I definitely will not argue that. I do have a play in this game. It's not a side, but New England, I mean, you just said it with Drake May. Every week I'm like, this is good. This could be the week where he acts normal. This could be the week where he regresses a little bit. And like really nothing bad to say about him. The way he composes himself too, he's not a hothead. He's clearly a leader on that team. And like from a young guy, I think that's just as impressive as his play and the way it's not like he's playing at like an averagely good quarterback level. Like he's elite right now. He's falling under the category of an elite quarterback. And Tampa Bay, though, their pass defense isn't terrible. Obviously, New England has the upper hand here. What they don't have the upper hand on is the run game. New England sucks at running the ball still. I heard rumors that they were trading for Pollard. I'm guessing that never went through, or did I miss that?
No, did not trade Tony Pollard, no.
I heard that he was going to go to New England, but then I never saw anything, and I wasn't like, did I miss something there? Couldn't find anything, so I doubted it. But yeah, so I mean that doesn't help their cause that they still are sticking with who they have. And then Tampa Bay is sixth in run defense. They're allowing 3.8 yards per carry. So I think New England's going to be able to throw the ball, not run the ball. And honestly, the same thing for Tampa. New England struggles to stop the pass, and we know Baker's a beast. You just mentioned they're getting a little healthier. No Evans, but they still have their core receivers. Then they have young guys like Tez Johnson that are getting better every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay has no shot at running the ball, though. Like zero. New England is an elite run defense. Tampa Bay is a bad run offense. I don't even think they really tried to run the ball. I do have a best bet, and that is the over of 48. I got that at minus 115 on Hard Rock. I think there's going to be lots of throwing, not much running, lots of clock stoppage, and lots of points being scored. It's going to be down in Tampa. It's supposed to be beautiful weather, 80 degrees, no rain. I think 48 is way too low. Like we're getting a higher total for a Dolphins-Bills game than this. That doesn't seem right to me. So I think over 48 is probably going to be one of my favorite plays on the board. As of right now, it's my favorite. And the touchdown score that I like is Baker Mayfield at plus 525 to get into the end zone. That was on Hard Rock yesterday. I think he gets in on a scramble, pumps up the home crowd, does some like maybe he'll run somebody over into the end zone. Just typical Baker Mayfield stuff. But at plus 525, they have no run game. I think the New England front can get to him and pressure him a little bit, force him out of the pocket. I could see him, it being like a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and goal from the 6-yard line. He's rolling out. He's just like, screw it, I'm going to run it. Bang, 525, cash it. So probably not going to play that, but I could see Baker getting into the end zone. Love the over of 48, though. That's definitely my best bet.
Yeah, I have no disagreements with you on the over. I think, like you aptly pointed out, like this is just going to be like a lack of running. There's just not going to be a lot of opportunity for players to get yards on the ground. The Patriots run game's already broken. Buccaneers run defense. We've talked about this a few times about how their run defense at this point, they have had the same like cast of characters in their front seven. So we know what to expect and how good this run defense has been under Todd Bowles over the last couple of seasons. Also, as well as this year, looking at some of the rush EPA numbers, like they're middle of the pack. This was like I have it filtered to the end of the season. I'll switch my screen in a second here. But looking up some of the advanced metrics for the run game overall for Buccaneers, 3rd in rush EPA on defense, as well as 3rd in rush success rate. That's nothing new for anybody back in Tampa. And the Patriots, they can't run the ball, so that anticipates scoring. And I do think Drake May can, absolutely have success in the air. I think Baker Mayfield will also have success in the air. And for me, again, going back to what my favorite bet in this one would be, it would be definitely the Buccaneers under a field goal, because that 3, of course, being the key number that it is. I think we're just still getting the hype of May, which is all deserving, and it's absolutely true how good he is. But I think that, again, you're playing now. You're the first real opponent that is like a perennial for the last couple of seasons, legitimate playoff team that is undoubtedly like a good football team. Going back to who they played, like the Falcons, they barely squeaked out that one. Browns, Titans, Saints, Panthers, Steelers, Miami, Las Vegas. Enough said. That's they have the Buffalo win. And while I'm not discrediting that, we do know that there is, in division, for lack of a better word, nonsense, though. Again, that was not I don't think, again, that was a fluker that, it doesn't matter. I think it does matter. But I think when you go face, the opposite conference on the road, proven very, very good team, that is a whole nother test. And I think the Patriots, while they're a good team, they're still have some work to be done all in all there. So, Jake, loving the over. I totally agree. And I do like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers -2.5, Jake. And speaking of the Buccaneers in the NFC South, we have an NFC South matchup. Who had it on their bingo card that the Carolina Panthers would be 5.5-point favorites over anybody at any point in the 2025 season? Well, that is the case at home against the 1-8 Saints. Saints coming off getting a beat down in Los Angeles. Now they got to fly back to the East Coast to play the Panthers. The Panthers, they just keep winning, man. They beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. 13.5-point dogs, winning outright, screwing over, I'm sure, a lot of people in Survivor this past week. Jake, can you bet the Panthers laying points at this point, knowing what you know? Or do you think this could potentially be, a discount for Carolina?
If I'm going to lay points with Carolina, it's definitely against New Orleans Saints with Tyler Shuck, who still don't know what the kid is all about. I heard bad things about him through camp, so I wasn't shocked that he didn't get the start. But yeah, it's too early for me. And I doubt he shreds up this Carolina defense, who's honestly been playing very well, especially their pass defense. In the beginning, you don't know if these things are flukes or not. Them, Jacksonville, and maybe they don't maintain that level of success, but then you see them shut down a Green Bay team who, by the way, Green Bay is a favorite this week against who are they playing this week? I don't know why.
Green Bay is who are they playing? I'm blanking as well because they're
against the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, on Monday, yeah.
And they're favorites against the Eagles. So that's a great Green Bay team that they just beat. And honestly, Rico Dowdle is the guy. I remember we were on the stream. Hubbard's gonna come back, still get his, and they tried, but Rico is just that. He's just playing that much better. I'm not laying any points here. I just think Carolina might actually be legit. They're really 5-3 with Bryce Young at quarterback. They lost that game where I loved them against who was it? Was it New England? When I took them 7.5, we had that crazy debate. Who's
Buffalo.
Against? Oh, it was Buffalo. Yep. And yeah, they lost that one with Andy Dalton. But with Bryce Young, they're 5-3. They control the time of possession in these games. They're 8th in time of possession on the season. So they're not just hitting lucky home run shots and scoring in that manner. They're putting together drives. Bryce Young looks very matured. And like I just said, Rico Dowdle is the truth. He just ran for 130 versus a good Green Bay defense. Yeah, he had his fluke. Well, I wouldn't call them flukes now, but he had those good games against the Dolphins and these bad defenses. And everyone was let's not put him on a pedestal yet. But now he's continuing to do that. And Hubbard is still an elite running back in my eyes. Very good. I used the word elite there a little over exaggeratedly, but he could easily be on any other team and be their primary running back and having 100-yard rushing games. We've seen that. My original prop that I really liked, I did have a best bet on Dowdle rushing yards. I was going to, the line wasn't out. I know it's out now. I think it's 90 something.
92.5. Holy shit.
I'm not playing that, but I said if it's anywhere in the 70s or 80s, low 80s, I'm locking that in. He's had 79 plus rushing yards in 4 of his last 5 games. But yeah, at 92, I don't know. That's pushing it for me. That's a little outside my comfort zone. I do like my touchdown score to be McMillan, though, at plus 210 on Hard Rock. Again, that was yesterday, but I think he finds the zone again. He went through that nice little stretch a few weeks ago. I think Bryce Young is definitely going to be able to have some success through the air against New Orleans. I think McMillan obviously is still his number one target. Getting him at over 2-1, I think that's great value. So, no, I don't think I'm going to pull the trigger on Dowdle. I didn't place anything on McMillan to score yet, but there might be something else that I could throw together. Maybe a little same game parlay of some sorts where I can get Dowdle at like 65 rushing yards and another prop. But yeah, that's my view on this game. So I guess no real plays, but in short, I think Carolina is legit. I mean, they have one of the better records in the division right now.
Yeah, Carolina. I mean, they're 5-4. No matter how you want to slice it, they're playing winning football. So that is that. Tyler Shough is so bad, and the Saints, of course, they traded Rashid Shaheed, so there goes like another weapon. Also traded Trevor Penning, who I think was injured, but overall has not had like a overall great. He had a great start to his Saints career, but then things have gone a little bit awry, and now he's no longer on the team. Trade him to the Chargers. I'm at a point where there is going to be a situation where in Shough's tenure, the Saints are undervalued and they cover a spread. However, even against Carolina, I don't think that it is this week where we're going to see Tyler Shough finally play like NFL caliber football and lead New Orleans to either a cover or a outright W, even against a divisional opponent like Carolina. The Panthers have a lot going for them right now. And, total 39.5. So definitely expecting a low scoring game because definitely the books don't expect Shough to do anything positive on the scoring side, as well as, the Panthers being this run team. And they're having immense amounts of success there. And the Saints have, of course, just, struggled all year long, but unsurprisingly. So I think it's a bit rich to lay it with Carolina. That being said, if you put a gun to my head and said you had to bet it, I would bet the Panthers minus the 5.5 because you are betting, of course, over the key number of 3, but you are still betting under, 6 points. And I think that at that point, if I want the Saints, it would have to be at like 6.5 or 7. At the 5.5, I think it is Carolina. But with that being said, that's not much conviction coming from me. And I think we can just move on to the next one here, Jake.
I agree with you on that statement, though, Eric. Like the Saints will get another win or two, but I think it's going to be in the manner of what Carolina just did to Green Bay. Like I don't think this is the spot for them to get that win where a lot of people, I feel like people are going to have New Orleans because they're like, oh, how are we getting this many points against the Panthers? But I think they're just overlooking the Panthers actually being decent. But I think New Orleans will get theirs eventually.
Yep, definitely possible. Definitely possible with Tyler Shough as it stands. Not looking so hot. And like I said, what we saw with the reports is like the Saints went out and said that Shough was going to start for the remainder of the year, basically meaning that they already fully like benched Rattler, as we clearly know, but like they benched him. They said like, Shough is starting. This isn't like a, bait and switch situation or anything like that. But speaking of god-awful football teams, Jake, we have the toilet bowl, the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets. What actually makes this game so intriguing is the fact that the loser of this game, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think increase their probability of getting the first pick like immensely. Like if the Browns go to 3-6, of course we have the Saints in that mix as well. That's not going to help them get that number 1 overall pick. If the Jets go to 2-7 and the Saints lose, the Saints will firmly have the grasp. And if you're a Saints fan or a Browns fan or a Jets fan, I'm sorry that you have to deal with these conversations. But as a Commanders fan who obviously dealt with that many times, I don't feel bad for you at all. It's all in the game.
Yeah.
Jake, here's my take on this game. And it's the dumbest thing. It's probably one of the dumbest things I'm ever going to say. I think that the New York Jets, as we know, they trade away Sauce Gardner. They trade away Williams. They are reloading on picks. And I do want to do a quick brief on that in 1 second here. My initial thought, and this is again the dumb side of my brain, I haven't bet anything about this. This isn't like a bet because of this. The Cleveland Browns are the much smarter organization, which isn't saying much, but I do believe that Andrew Berry and Stefanski are, better GM HC duo, and their front office is better than anything that's going on at the Meadowlands. I would not put it past the Browns because of them being the better organization, that they find a way. I'm not going to say they purposely throw a football game or they're tanking because players don't tank. That has to be put out there. coaches might put people in bad situations, but players do not tank. They want to put good film on it. The Browns might be the better tanking team in terms of general smarts for how much this game and losing this game matters. I'm somewhat inclined to take that thought process and back the New York Jets because the Browns losing is much better for the outlook of their franchise than them winning.
Yeah, and the only thing to back your claim there, first of all, I literally just wrote down in my notes next game. I didn't even I'd rather never bet again than put a bet on this game. I would side with the Jets strictly because they're getting the points,
Yeah.
A situation like this, I don't think like that, like how you thought strategy wise, but I will agree with these players, they want to get paid. So everyone thinks, oh, the players don't want to tank. Why would they want to tank? It's not fun. Their job sucks. It's like going to work every day and just knowing that you're going to have a miserable day. Nobody wants to do that. It's all play calling, putting players in certain positions where that the other team's going to have the advantage, but those players don't individually go out there and be like, let me tank so I can get a college kid, the best college kid on our team next year. They don't think that way. They're like, I want to be good so I can get paid multis of millions of dollars. But yeah, I mean, if I absolutely had to, so you say gun to my head, it would be the Jets with points, or even honestly the Jets just on the money line at plus money. But absolutely disgusting, abysmal of a game. This shouldn't even be allowed to be streamed on television, honestly.
So, Jake, we don't need to harp on it too much, but I am curious. So, you already kind of gave your brief thoughts on what the Jets did for the in the deal, of course, giving away Sauce Gardner. You're giving the Colts a W there. Give Quinn Williams to the Cowboys, and the Jets now have a
tremendous W on that trade.
Yes, the Jets W for the trade with the Colts. Regardless of it doesn't even matter W's or losses at this point. The fact of the matter is the New York Jets now have a crazy amount of draft capital, and the 2027 draft, not this upcoming one, but the one after, expected to be absolutely loaded.
Yeah.
Do you think the Jets are actually going to do anything with what they got? Because to me, this is all so hilarious because one, Aaron Glenn is the biggest joke of a coach and one of the biggest jokes we've seen. He's obviously not like Freddie Kitchens bad or Brian Callahan bad, but he's abysmal. Woody Johnson, one of the worst owners in the sport. They had a similar situation, I think, 5 years ago when they had multiple picks in the 2020 and 2021 drafts. What happened? They're 1-7 doing it again. Hate to be the bearer of bad news for all of the optimistic people out there. I don't care if the Jets draft Jeremiah Smith and Tom Brady reincarnated. They're going to find a way to fuck it up.
That's it. I was just talking about I was just talking about Daniel Jones. I've seen his story all over again. Now, I hope that's not the case with him. I'd like to see him do good. I never wish bad upon anybody, but it's the Jets, Scott. What are we talking about here? Now, if they're smart, use those draft picks and trade them for reliable players. They still have that in their arsenal now. That's why I think it's a good move is now they still have options where they could trade for guys that are actually good. They have all these first-round draft picks. Do I think they're going to do anything smart with them, Maps? No way. No shot. Look at what freaking Sam Darnold is doing. That was their guy. Look at him now.
You don't have to tell me, brother. You don't have to tell me.
Even Robert Saleh or Salah, however you pronounce his last name, he got he was in a terrible situation. They fired him so quick, and then here we are. Glenn gets the full season because what? He's having a worse season than any coach, honestly, even worse.
If Glenn isn't fired, if Glenn is not fired the day their season ends,
they're toast. That's just an argument.
That's all you need to know. Exactly. And AEC coming in from the chat, never thought I'd say a total 37.5 seems high. I agree with you. True. It's so true. And the one thing I will say, the final thing I will say, we saw Myles Garrett have a 6-sack game and they still lost by more than 3 a couple of weeks ago. With the way Justin Fields plays in the pocket, I know the odds are going to be crappy, but a Browns defensive touchdown is absolutely on the table. Myles Garrett is absolutely going to be live for another 3+ sack performance with Justin Fields his terrible pocket awareness, his terrible ability to understand what's going on. Myles Garrett, I think, is going to have an absolute field day. I was like half joking with my thoughts in the beginning about how like the Browns are, stupider enough or are smarter that they will try to tank because like that's obviously not something to bet on or bet against. That being said, like you think the Jets will be like motivated, and I wish there was some data about how teams post deadline deals do, but the sample size will be very small because deadlines in the NFL, like a lot of recency bias is here. Deadlines are normally very tame in the National Football League. There aren't very many times where you're seeing multiple first round picks, especially from the same team, being multiple like star players being traded from the same team or in general being traded at the deadline. But I could see a possibility for Cleveland alternate spreads. I understand taking the Jets with the points. Like we could just move on here, but I do agree with AEC. I think his comments funny that never thought I'd say 37.5 total seems high, but the thing is like the Jets defense has been so abysmal. They bench Quincy Williams, they trade Quinnen Williams, and they trade Ahmad Gardner. Dillon Gabriel, of course, has like nothing, and Kevin Stefanski just gave a play calling to their OC, which I saw again as well. Ugly, man. Ugly. I think we just put a pin in this one,
I think we spent way too much time on this, honestly.
Let's keep going.
We're talking about it.
AFC South, Texans, Jaguars. In AEC, we got a total of 37.5 here as well. And this is a game where the first matchup, this was 27 total points. I bet the under, that cashed. Jaguars acquired Jakobi Meyers. We want to talk about trades just because obviously it's not going to be so massively impactful for this particular game, but I do think they are some things worth talking about because I think that trade was horrible for Jacksonville. I think so far, even the Travis Hunter deal, going back to that, not because Travis Hunter himself isn't like a talented player, but I think from like a process standpoint, so far the moves the Jags have made, even the Tyson Campbell swap for a corner with the Browns trade that they made, I thought was a bad trade as well. Jaguars, in that capacity, I think are making bad moves, but the CJ Stroud is probably not playing. I think it's almost definitely not playing.
Yeah, he's ruled out as of this morning, concussion protocol, so he's not playing.
Concussion protocol, not going to be able to get out of that. We see Dick Chubb is also questionable. Will Anderson also questionable. That's obviously a big deal here. So this is a game that I got right in the first matchup. I had the under. That was one of my best bets, and that was I hit with flying colors. That was a 17-10 snoozer. Of course, I do believe that this one is probably destined for another under type game as it is a total of 37.5. So the market has adjusted a bit because the total was, I want to say 41 in that one. Jake, do you have any stronger thoughts here on Jacksonville, Houston? Because to me, the Jaguars against, again, the best defense in football, they're going to see Trevor Lawrence do what Trevor Lawrence does, which is make terrible decisions and make bad plays. And the Texans are going to run into a brick wall 4 times and punt, and they're going to play a field possession game.
Yeah, I mean, the total's low for a reason. I do like the Jakobi Meyers pickup, though. We can sit here and josh about Trevor Lawrence being bad, but, dude, his wide receivers, they drop the ball every single week, dead in the middle of their chest. Guess what Jakobi Meyers does not do? He does not drop the ball. Last season, he was the only receiver with, I forgot the number of targets to not drop a ball. So I definitely think that plays a factor to them bringing him over specifically. Yeah, he wanted out, but also like every game, Trevor, he's by far is the quarterback with the most drops from the receiver on the season. So he doesn't make the best decisions, but his wide receivers also are not helping him out. So Jakobi will definitely help with that. However, I just don't see him making that big of a difference, especially in this game versus this Houston defense. I think Jacksonville still struggles to score. And Brian Thomas is questionable too, I believe. Is there any update on that you know of, or is he still questionable?
Seeing De'Ami Brown questionable, of course, Travis Hunter on the IR. Brian Thomas, yes, questionable with an ankle sprain, was not spotted at practice today on Wednesday.
That could be huge. Also bleeds towards an under, but obviously that's an important piece. Houston, I wasn't sure if CJ Stroud was going to play or not. Now that it's confirmed he's not, I was leaning Houston if I had to pick a side, but I'm not going to lock that in with Mills under center, who didn't play terribly, honestly. I'm not going to say that he was a punching bag back there, but the Jacksonville defense, I mean, they are very well rounded. We're over halfway through the season, and we weren't sure if this was going to be a fluke. We were talking about their pass defense. They were ranked number 1 or 2 like 4 weeks in. Now, did we expect them to stay top 3? Absolutely not. But their run defense has also improved drastically. So I think Jacksonville is in a well above average defense. We know this Houston team struggles to score even with CJ Stroud. I don't think that they're going to be any better in this situation. So even though this total is low, I would lean under. Probably going to pass on it. My touchdown score, though, there's a revenge game in here, and it's Christian Kirk. I like Christian Kirk to get into the end zone at plus 400 on Hard Rock Bets. So no real play for me here, but I might sprinkle Christian Kirk for fun. I think there's a decent chance he gets into the end zone at plus 400, like, plus 250, no shot, but that's pretty good odds in my opinion. So it's where I stand here. Lean under, don't have a side.
Yeah, the more I've been thinking about it, the more that my lean of under is straight up a play. Like one of my best bets is honestly on this under, because the thing about absolutely, because the thing about games where the starting quarterback's out, when you have guys who are coming in that understand the system, of course, that's going to be beneficial to hopefully having this offense move well, as we saw it last week in Denver. They did actually do a pretty good job. Davis Mills did well at home. But in this situation, like, because he knows the system and because he's obviously played before, there's tape on Davis Mills. It's not like you're getting like a wild card where you don't really know necessarily like what is going to happen. And like those are the opportunities for there to be points scored. In this situation, again, like, yes, he has the benefit of knowing the offense, but I think the actual detriment is because we know what to expect from Davis Mills and co. And I think that, again, because of knowing what we expect, it's going to be a situation where Houston's going to have struggle to run the ball like they have done all year. They're going to struggle to move the ball offensively like they've done all year. And unless they're getting big play after big play to Nico Collins, which is, of course, never fully out of the question because Nico Collins is a freaking dog, it's going to be the same old, same old. Texans about to lose bad. I mean, honestly, like I don't doubt that entirely. I don't have any real like thoughts on the side here, Biz. But I think the under.
Will Anderson is out. That's huge too.
Absolutely. The defense, like they need that kind of pass rush from Will Anderson big time. But I do want to just quickly go back to the Myers trade. The reason why I'm so down on it is even back to the Sauce trade. We didn't even talk about the Cowboys yet. Is because of the future. Like I think the Colts trade, you need to, pump the brakes a bit. I should say pump the brakes, but like there is more future implication for them. Jakobi Meyers is on an expiring deal. So if Jakobi Meyers doesn't elevate this team this season to help them become a better football team and they don't re-sign him, they give away a 4th round. They give away 2 picks for nothing. Are the Jacksonville Jaguars really contenders? Are they really a wide receiver away from beating the Chiefs, beating the Bills, beating the Ravens, beating the Broncos, even beating the Chargers in January? I don't think there's a shot in hell.
No, I don't. But I mean, they could dream,
And they did by giving them some
one can hope. I mean, they definitely weren't going to tank, and they're in a good spot in their division to make the playoffs. So we've seen crazy things happen in the playoffs. I mean, dude, you're a Washington Commanders fan. Look at what they did last year. No one had any hopes for them, and like they were by far the biggest, which I don't know if that's a touchy subject for you now. I guess we'll get to that game, but
we'll get to that game.
There's gonna be that dark horse in the playoffs. There is every single year, and not saying that's gonna be Jacksonville, but like Jacksonville's probably thinking that it's Jacksonville.
There's a dark horses every year to make the playoffs. To do what Washington did and make a championship game is obviously like the higher end of that outcome there. So obviously it's a known fact that in the NFL is the biggest turnover from worst to first, and teams that make it and then miss the playoffs. I don't see the Jaguars making any run, but I can't even give them like kudos for trying, because like say they, I don't know, somehow finagled the deal for like a much better receiver than Jakobi Meyers, and maybe I would like feel stronger in that argument. But
I think this is the thing with them too, Eric. They've now drafted Trevor 4 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that 3, 4, 5 years ago. Like they've still been the typical punching bag Jaguars forever. Like, I think that they think that this is their time to, not this year, but like they need to add some pieces for him. Like they got to. I think they're testing to see if he's actually their super long term guy. Is like, let's get him some weapons, see what he does with other people, with other good receivers. ETN's actually having a really good year. Like, is he our guy? Like, can he win the big game? Can he take us to the playoffs?
They already paid him like he is, though. That's the difference.
They can always get rid of him.
Lawrence has a 5-year, $275 million contract he signed last year.
Wow.
Trevor Lawrence is paid. It's not, again, like back to the Danny Dimes.
Why would they make that trade for Jacoby like that then? That actually makes no sense.
I don't know either. I don't think there's any proof it. I think that James Gladstone, their new young GM, just like we do with Travis Hunter, he pushed the chips into the middle saying, I want to throw the ball. I want to be better on offense. I want to have this new era of Jacksonville football and make my quarterback better. And the fact is Brian Thomas stinks, which is not Trevor Lawrence's fault or the GM's fault. Travis Hunter got hurt, but either way, he's like showing obviously potential as an athlete, but like as a real two-way threat, this amazing player, not happening. And then they get Jacoby Myers. That's what I'm saying. Like, why? What does this really do?
Unless they're already planning on like, we like what he's done the last couple of years. We are confident we're gonna sign him and pay him after this season. Like, that's the only logical reason, right? I mean, not to something crazy, but
they would have done that. Like, think about Micah Parsons. Obviously, I'm not comparing Jacoby Myers to Micah Parsons. You trade for Micah Parsons, you sign his extension the second the trade goes through. This is to me is baffling. I think this to me is them saying, yeah, let's push our chips in. Let's get another weapon. Let's win a Super Bowl. I think they're on drugs. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're definitely in drugs in Jacksonville.
Definitely on drugs in Jacksonville. But to wrap up the 1 p.m. slate so we can fly through the rest of this year. Ravens laying 4.5 in Baltimore, in Minnesota against the Vikings. JJ McCarthy takes down the Lions in his return from his soft benching or his injury. At this point, I guess we don't know if it was a soft benching because he comes back and then wins. Beats the Lions. This spread has been moving a lot. It was 4.5, went to 3.5. Now went back up to 4.5. So clearly a bit of two-way action on this one. Lamar Jackson and co blew out your Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. I was on stream with Ty that night, and we talked about how it was Baltimore. We thought at that point it was underpriced in the market. We thought that Baltimore, people kind of forgot about how good Baltimore is with Lamar Jackson and with a healthy team. And Baltimore today saw a tweet, not a single player on their roster missed practice.
Bingo.
The Ravens are healthy. Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. But now he plays Brian Flores and the Vikings. And the last time Lamar played a Brian Flores team was the Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores. The Dolphins beat the Ravens and Lamar outright. Obviously, new players, new personnel, new stadium, new etc. Jake, are the Ravens still undervalued, or are you buying some of this McCarthy, Minnesota hype now?
No, Baltimore's undervalued. I didn't lock a play in, but it's Baltimore -4 for me. JJ looked pretty bad to start the season, and even though they're coming off of a big win versus Detroit, like, he still didn't play good. He had a 54.5 QBR in that game. So I'm putting my eggs in the basket of him being the same JJ McCarthy that we saw to start the season. And you just said, I think Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens with a healthy roster, they're still one of the best teams in the league, hands down. Like, they
were power rated. Like, a lot of people that I respect, sharp people, had them power rated as the number one team heading into the season, and now they're the team health wise that was supposed to be that team.
Yeah, I mean, they are still that team. I will go to my grave and die on that hill that Baltimore is back. If they could stay healthy, like, I mean, they should smoke Minnesota. They should absolutely smoke Minnesota. Another little hangover game for them. Minnesota, Detroit. Minnesota gets a big win over Detroit, and now they're going to go play. They're going to play Baltimore, a healthy Baltimore team that needs to win. Baltimore can't like lose bad games anymore. Like, they could really not lose many games moving forward, especially if Pittsburgh continues to play how they're playing. I think it's Baltimore all the way. probably gonna lock this in when we get off stream. I saw -4 yesterday. Would love to get that. Is there any -4s flat?
Yeah, so MGM -110.
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm probably gonna lock that in as a best bet. I think Baltimore scores at will. I know Brian Flores does his thing, but all of his exotic blitzes aren't going to work against Lamar. He's just going to run for 80 yards if that's the case. The defense, they're going to cause problems for J.J. McCarthy, and it's not even like Minnesota has a backup to help him out if he goes down or if he's playing terrible. So it's Baltimore -4 for me.
Yeah,
I like Hawkinson. I do like Hawkinson to get into the end zone at +300. I saw that on Hard Rock or Bet365. I think that's a good price for him. I think Baltimore is going to be smoking them majority of the game. Minnesota is just going to be throwing the ball nonstop, and he's a great red zone target. So not playing it, but it's my touchdown score for this game.
Yeah, no debates. I think Baltimore is still undervalued. I think Baltimore should win. Actually, this 3.5, 120 at ESPN is the best price of market. So I'll give that to you instead of the 4. And I'm actually probably going to bet this myself once we hop off as well.
This is probably one of our parlay legs then.
Definitely one of our parlay legs.
Why don't we update the people that joined in the last hour or so on what we're doing with that, Eric? And make sure you tell the full story about, me winning the bet and everything, right?
Jake and I made a bet who would win first, the Dolphins or the Titans as double-digit dogs. The Dolphins were the winner of that bet. But instead of me paying Jake, what we're going to do is we're going to put together a parlay on stream right toward the end of our favorite legs. And if it wins, we're going to do a giveaway. So make sure you guys are tuned in because we're going to be putting together a giveaway parlay. We'll lock that in once we finalize our final best bets. We have some games to get through still, Jake,
of
to
course.
get to that to make sure. But Baltimore -3.5. Well, we're going to probably have to get a 4 because ESPN not the best book for that. So we'll go from there. Maybe even a money line depending on the odds of the other legs. And maybe we'll get frisky and do an alternate spread or something. The world
we can always buy down a point or something, but that's definitely going to be one of them.
Absolutely. Cardinals Seahawks. Seahawks add Raheem Shaheed. I think that's massive. Massive's not the word, but I think it's a very good trade for Seattle. They're doing what they can to maximize on what they have with Sam Darnold, which if we would have said this in June, everyone would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? That being said, that's the reality we live in the 2025 National Football League season. Sam Darnold is a dog, obviously destroyed my Commanders, and the Cardinals coming off a massive win against the Cowboys where Jacoby Brissett is now officially the starter. Yes, they put Kyler Murray on IR. I've never smelt bigger bullshit in my entire life. Kyler Murray is not hurt. Kyler Murray is probably played his last snap as an Arizona Cardinal. If any single team called their phone and said, I'll give you something for Kyler Murray, I guarantee you he would not have been a Cardinal. The only reason why he still is a Cardinal is because nobody made that phone call. Just putting all that out there. That being said, the offense looks better with Geno Smith. Jacoby Brissett. Marvin Harrison's getting targets. Things are looking pretty solid there. And I talked about this last week on stream, Jake, when you were gone. You look at the Cardinals, they're 3-5, and this is a team that I was higher on in the beginning of the season. But again, their losses, if you want to go through some of these right here, barely losing to Green Bay, barely losing to Indy. We saw the nonsense that happened to have them lose to the Titans. Barely lost to the Seattle team earlier. So this is the second of the final 2 games between them. Barely lost to the Niners after beating the Panthers and the Saints here. But Seattle, they just absolutely keep rolling here, and they are 6.5-point favorites. Jake, what's your take on the new look Cardinals? And at this point, the Sam Darnold shit's got to be real, right?
Sam Darnold shit is so real. It was real last year. It's not like it was a fluke last year. I'll argue with the Cardinals. Yeah, their losses aren't as bad, and they're to good teams, but like their wins aren't that great either. It's not like their wins are anything crazy. I remember watching that Saints game and like they almost lost that game. And who else did they beat?
The Panthers.
The Panthers. So I guess like that turned out to be a decent win too. But here specifically in this game, as good as Arizona looked last week, I just don't see them they're versing a different breed of defense this week. I don't see them having success on offense Seattle defense is way different than Dallas's defense. I'll tell you that much. And Vegas clearly agrees because they set their team total at 19.5. So I don't think that they're scoring much. On the Seattle side, I also think they might struggle to score. As great and electric as they've been all up until this point, I think Seattle definitely has the upper hand, but Arizona's not a pushover pass defense. They're definitely top 10 in the category. Seattle's just been slinging the rock around left and right. And like maybe Seattle will be able to run too. I think Arizona is going to be able to stop the run more times than not because anyone could stop Seattle's run offense right now. They're only averaging 3.7 yards per carry, which is the second worst in the league. So it's not like Arizona has a crazy run defense, but Seattle's not doing anything to exploit that. I have a lean on the under at 45.5. It's funny you bring up Marvin Harrison because he's my touchdown scorer here at plus 200 on Bet365. I think that it's too good of a price for a number one receiver. And Brissett is clearly getting more comfortable with him. He just had 10 targets last week and had a pretty good game himself there. So I think at a 2-to-1 price for him to score, I think Seattle's definitely going to be winning, and they're going to be putting the ball in Brissett's hand, and he's going to go to his number one target more times than not. So I think it's a good spot to right now. I think that would be my favorite play in this game. I lean under, but I think Marvin Harrison at plus 200 is my favorite play between the two.
Yeah, no disagreements with you at all. I think this is definitely still on the sideline for me because we know that then divisional games do get a little bit wonky. Jacoby Brissett is definitely at this point an upgrade over Kyler Murray, who could have locker room cancer, but we cannot forget we know who Jacoby Brissett is. We you know what I mean? It's not like he's this young kid coming on the block, some unknowns. Like, yes, he's got a new team. Yes, they have some talent with, of course, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison. I mean, you got Michael Wilson and freaking, Zay Jones. So it's not like they're overwhelming you with talent on the outside.
Who's Zay Jones? Who's that guy?
Exactly. So definitely like your look to the under there. I think that's actually probably a great look because even though that game went way under on Monday, I do agree that it's going to be very tough sledding for Arizona against the Seattle defense to put up some points. So I'm honestly no disagreements with you under and Marv. I think, again, even though I think the Seattle probably should win this game, the pricing for Marv as a number one receiver should be getting a bit more love here. Jay, we got 4 more games to go through. And now we're finally up to the Commanders. So monologue incoming.
Well, I'll just let you have the floor because I got absolutely nothing for this game. If you want me to go first, I think it's an ugly number. Detroit's coming off of a bad loss where historically they dominate these games. So I'd lean Detroit -8, but I got nothing. Now I'll just let you kind of, monologue all you want.
Jaden Daniels, dislocated elbow, is getting a second opinion. There's a bunch of good news from all this. One is he hurt his left arm, so not the beautiful cannon we need. He didn't hurt his legs. That's all good. 2, it looks like the injury is nowhere near as bad as it looked on screen. So that's always a good thing. And Jake, I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet. I don't really want to bitch about Dan Quinn's decision to keep him in, keep him not in. I think he had a good quote after the game, and I saw some reporters, like I obviously follow Washington's beat pretty closely. It was like the way they put it is it was like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if you don't play Jaden Daniels in that situation, it's like, what the hell? Are you guys really giving up on the game? If you do and he gets hurt, obviously that's like devastating. But the silver lining is, of all bad injuries you could have gotten, that was probably arguably one of the best ones you could have gotten, non-throwing arm in an arm.
And no broken bones.
And no broken bones, dislocation, no like crazy ligament damage or any nonsense, because that's snap, man. If you haven't seen the replay, which I'm sure everybody here watching has definitely seen the replay many times.
If you haven't.
Don't if you haven't. But Jake, there's a theme. I did it last week. I did it the week before. And I'm doing it again this week. Bet every single Detroit alternate spread you can. Bet Detroit -7.5.
It's a great Detroit spot.
I already bet it. My best bet of the day is Detroit -7.5. The Washington Commanders, I think, will have some more success on offense. So I think the over, again, is absolutely in play. But Detroit is live on alternate lines. You have the revenge narrative for the NFC divisional round, where the Lions are, of course, beyond banged up. We talked about this before. Jaden Daniels pitched a perfect game. and got help from the defense. The Commanders lost Marshawn Lattimore, who's dog water all year. Trey Amos, their best player on their secondary so far, the rookie, also is banged up. Their defensive line is decimated. We know they lost Lawrence Armstrong. They lost Dietrich Wise early in the year. Like, I don't even need to talk about it. Like, we know the Commanders are one of the most injured teams in football. I'll do a quick scroll so you can see. I'm not going to read it out here. The Detroit Lions are a class above the Washington Commanders, and they have the skill players in Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams to put on an absolute clinic here. There's somebody in the market that still is believing in Washington because 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, they went from 12.5 to 10.5. Last week against the Seahawks, they went from 3.5 to 2.5, albeit with Jaden getting ruled in. But that being said, that was nonsense. And this week, they went from 8.5 already to 7.5. The Detroit Lions are going to put on a performance like we've never seen before in Landover, Maryland at 425. I think Dan Quinn, I'm not going to say he's lost the locker room. He's a player's coach. Joe Witt's one of the worst defensive coordinators in football. Cliff Kingsbury's offense is vanilla and bland, and the Lions' D-line is going to get pressure on Mariota. Washington's skill players are dog water. McCaffrey also gone. Not like that even freaking matters. Talk about Luke McCaffrey. He broke his collarbone. He's toast. Probably no Terry. Debo's been banged up all season long. The Lions will score at will, and Marcus Mariota is going to struggle to put up points. I still like the over in this game because, again, the Lions are going to put up a 50-piece. The Commanders might need to just score 7. Detroit minus 7.5. And let's look at the best numbers for alternate spreads. We had KC up to 21.5, which lost, but everything else in there hit. We had Seattle last week. Everything alternate spread. That ended up being good. Detroit, give me up to, looking at these odds, minus 20.5 ESPN. Detroit is going to destroy Washington. The season from hell is the season from hell. And again, there will be a time in the next couple of weeks as Washington continues to play good teams where they will have a team morale, camaraderie win as a dog when they finally get priced as a proper underdog. With that being said, Washington is not 7.5 points worse than Detroit. At this current moment in time, they're closer to 20 points worse than Detroit. Don't at me. Facts of the matter. Detroit alternate spreads as high as you want to take them. This will absolutely be in our parlay. Detroit minus 7.5 is by far my best bet of the week.
You're honestly talking me into their team total is only 29.5, Detroit. So that's starting to look pretty enticing to me as you kept talking. Not locking anything in. I'll do my further due diligence later in the week. But what do you think of the total being at 29.5 for Detroit?
Alternate up to 49.5. I'm not joking. Oh, I'm not joking. The thing about
I know you're so serious. That's what makes it that much funnier to me.
The thing about the Chiefs game is because of all those turnovers. So I had the overall, so that didn't hit because of all those turnovers in the first half. But there were tipped passes off a guy's face mask, some nonsense. Yeah. As long as the Lions don't turn the ball over, yes, they do like to run the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to put up 220 scrimmage yards. Like Jameson Williams hasn't done dog all year long. Jameson Williams is scoring 3 touchdowns. The Detroit Lions are going to destroy the Washington Commanders on Sunday. 7.5 is nowhere near enough points. Give me the alternates. Give me the over because Detroit's going to score 40 themselves minimum. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news to my Commanders fans. And the worst part of it all is how right I've been, Jake, the last 2 weeks. I know you weren't here on the Best Bet show for the Seattle game.
2 weeks ago I was, though.
And you know what I said? And that exact same monologue I gave today and I gave 2 weeks ago, I gave last week about the Seattle Seahawks. I was getting some comments in the chat on YouTube saying, like, are you glazing the Seahawks? No, I'm fading the shit out of this injured, poorly coached, not good Commanders team playing arguably the best team in the NFC, a top 4 team in the NFC. If we're talking tiers, they're still in tier 1, even if you can put that order whatever you want with the Rams, the Packers, and the Philly and the Eagles.
Now, Eric, do you think that they not necessarily, we'll call it a tank, but make a strategic move to, they're injured. They're obviously not going to make the playoffs at this point with JD out. Like Marcus Mariota is not taking them to the promised land. Do you think it's a smart move for them to maybe take their foot off the gas and get a couple young guys in there that can help them for the longevity of the next couple of years? Because obviously JD 5 is a young quarterback. You have good talent around him. Like, is it worth getting some younger pieces to complete that puzzle, or what do you think? Do you think it's something that Dan Quinn and the boys would do, or
We don't have young guys to play. We
no? I
signed
know.
Treylon Burks off the street to activate it to our active roster because we're dying for anything.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking more of we were just earlier when we were talking about the Browns and the Jets, saying how these teams, the players don't necessarily tank, but management could put them in bad situations to lose games. Is this a situation where, yeah, you're going to have whatever players are out there, you have street players, whoever, that helps your cause, but is it time to just like kick the can and be like, hey, let's just get some good draft picks and play for next year?
So I don't think this team would ever think that way because actually it's a great question because think about Adam Peters coming from the Niners, right? They literally went playoffs, Super Bowl appearance, missed the playoffs, Super Bowl appearance, missed the playoffs. Like that's what he's used to. I can't say that that is all by design because they also were very often injured as this Washington team is now. It's a good question. I just find it again hard to like say that that like in these scenarios that like any team is realistically going to like try to tank. I think though that this is the game again because the market, like I trust the market more than anything, especially when it comes to game lines like this. The market, somebody out there is clicking Washington still 3 weeks in a row that has respected money, that is a known winning bettor at a sharp book, is betting limit bets on Washington moving the number. I wonder again. I respect whoever that is or that people are, but
they got heart.
You're wrong. I'm sorry that they're wrong. Like the Commanders are dead in the water. And I don't know if everybody saw, but I'll just confirm what I just did while I was talking here as well. Jameson Williams, 2+ touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, 2+ touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, anytime touchdown. All of them, they're hitting because they're scoring 5. Minimum 5 touchdowns.
Scoring 5. Great SGP game, guys. Great same game parlay type of game.
Detroit Lions stacks. Detroit Lions
-20 and every single skill guy to score a touchdown.
Every single one. And sprinkle too, if you're feeling it.
Oh man.
That being said, Jake, my monologue's over. Any closing thoughts on that Commanders game?
No, nothing. Honestly, I already thought Detroit was gonna snap. Like I was leaning -8. They always do this. Off of a bad loss, they fucking, pardon my French, crush everybody. And this is a great spot. I mean, Washington is banged up. They're just kind of not a good team anymore. And I think Detroit's going to try to beat them by 40. Like Jared Goff will still be in the game early in the fourth quarter, even if they're up 35.
I think they can, they will, and they are going to. Detroit -7.5, -101 at Novig. What are you waiting for? It's only $3K in liquidity there. Take up all that as you want. I already took up a bunch of it. And alternate stuff. Wait for Stream Sunday, boys, because obviously that's when we go through everything there, and I'll be having everything locked and loaded exactly. But Detroit, everything. Jake, take me out of my misery. Let's talk Rams Niners.
Dude, welcome to my world. At least last year you had a good season.
It was fun. I loved every second of it.
My first playoff win, Eric. My first playoff win in my entire lifetime. I'm waiting to see. Okay. So whenever you are laying in bed thinking about how shitty your life is being a Commanders fan, at least you know that 365 days ago you were on a high horse. You watched playoff wins.
It was awesome.
And I was laying in my bed knowing, like, am I ever going to see a Miami Dolphin playoff win in my life? Because as of right now, history is saying no. So
history is definitely saying no, unfortunately, Jake. But
the future's saying too, honestly.
Rams Niners, man. Purdy still banged up. The Rams look like absolute dogs. We know what happened in this game on Thursday night. The Rams should have won like 4 times, end up losing outright to the Niners. 6-3 coming up beating the Giants. I honestly haven't dove in too much. I think this is a spot we saw this move from 3.5 to 4.5 again. So some early movement to the Rams, who obviously look like the class of the NFC, definitely in that top tier. Niners keep winning despite their injuries. These games are always close. Shanahan, McVay. Any strong thoughts here on Rams Niners?
I have strong thoughts here. I have a play. I'll start with my breakdown really quick. I think Brock Purdy, he's questionable still, no?
Yes.
Freaking turf toe, dude. That is crazy. All right. Well, it doesn't really matter. My play doesn't really affect it that much. I don't think Mac Jones has been playing too terribly, first of all.
Not at all.
But on the Rams side, I mean, I think they're going to be able to throw the ball all over this San Francisco defense. They're one of the best passing offenses in the league right now. Joke on me all you want. Stafford looks like he's in his prime out there. I mean, this guy in the beginning of the season, when we were like, oh, he's questionable in week 1 with a back, like this dude's getting too old. He doesn't still have it. He told all of us to F off because he's out there playing like it's 5-10 years ago. And San Francisco's pass defense is not good. So the Rams should be able to have a field day through the air. They might even be able to run the ball a little bit. This is where the Rams have struggled. And the San Francisco run defense is better than their pass defense, no doubt. But I still think Kyren Williams is playing, right?
I'm almost positive. That's nation. Puka Nacua is expected to play as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think that Kyren Williams not having a great year up to this point, yards wise and everything, he's still a stud. It's like the Saquon Barkley talk with Philly. Like, I'm still all over Saquon and think he's a great running back and think that they're going to turn things around if they haven't already. Same thing with this Rams run offense. So I think the Rams score at will. San Francisco, regardless of who's at quarterback, I just don't see them having any success versus the Rams defense. Not only is the Rams offense elite, but their defense is up there too. They have a top 5 offense. They're a top 5 team overall, honestly. They're well coached. They have good leadership. They have veterans. They have young guys that are studs. They have a great defense. They don't make mistakes and shoot themselves in the foot ever. That's why I have a best bet here, and it's the Rams -4 at -110 on MGM. Locked that in yesterday. I think the Rams, like I just said, are going to be able to score almost every single possession. San Fran might keep it close in the first half, but I don't see them consistently stopping the Rams or consistently scoring. They haven't showed us that all year. Maybe last week against the Giants, who earlier I talked about how bad their defense has been. So that's definitely not impressive. And I have a future on the 49ers win total over. So this isn't like a biased opinion at all by backing the Rams pretty often, but I've been cashing on the Rams, and -4 against a San Fran team that is still pretty injured and a Rams team that is hitting their stride. I think it's way too low of a number. And I like Higbee to get into the end zone at +350. So I'm all over the Rams. Are you with me? Are you against me? Are you indifferent?
Indifferent, honestly. I haven't done big enough deep dive on some of the injury stuff. Narrative Street is that that these games are just always close. So with that being said, knowing how Shanahan and co play each other, leads me to like not be dying to, fade a number over 3. But with that being said, like I don't have like a strong argument. The Niners pass defense is absolutely beatable. Stafford is on one, like you talked about. Like no real disagreements for me at any point here.
Dude, and he is on one. He's just like making super quick reads. He's going through his progressions quick. He's making the right decisions. And he doesn't even have that great of a run game to support him. I think that's what's impressive too, is they haven't been running the ball well all season. It's literally all Stafford just balling out. So I think he's definitely overseeded the expectations I had going into the year for himself. So good for him. Pat on the back for Stafford.
Vintage Stafford, heavily in the MVP conversation, no doubt about it. So Stafford doing an absolute great job.
Whatever those beds are, what's he an ambassador for? He's on those commercials, him and his wife, of laying in those freaking special beds or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He must be working though, honestly.
Whatever they got going on in LA.
Heal his back. Just go to, we are not advertising that bed of whatever it is, but it must be working for him.
We are not, but we are advertising Outlier. So if you guys do want to try Outlier, free trial, link under the tweet or in the description if you're watching on YouTube. If you're also watching on YouTube, hit that like button. Really does go a long way. Very much appreciated if you've been enjoying the content. Jake and I obviously going for a minute now. All likes add up. But also posted a new video today, so make sure to take a look at that as well. Jake, Sunday Night Football, Steelers, Chargers. Steelers keep finding a way to, win football games. Aaron Rodgers is honestly playing some pretty solid football overall.
Yeah.
Chargers 6-3, Justin Herbert and co. Coming off a win against the Titans, but they did not cover the spread. But with that being said, the Titans only scored on defense and special teams. It is freaking hilarious. Good thing the Titans are on a bye. So
I think they have more touchdowns on special teams and defense than they do on offense.
Dude, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Another game, Jake, where I haven't really dove in too deep. It looks like the market is moving this to 3 because the 2.5 is -129. So it looks like a 3 being the key number. I think that's like so fair. Like the Chargers are not by any means elite. The Steelers find ways to stick around, and I think they'll move the ball pretty well. And vice versa. I think both teams will have success moving the ball. So let me check the total quickly. 44.5. There's a cheap 44 out there. Of course, 44.5 being a key number. That would be my look for the over. It's 125, so I'll have to stick with the 44.5. All good. That being said, Jake, do you have stronger thoughts on Steelers Chargers? Because I just think this is a good football game. I think this is right on the money of the price.
Yeah, this is I have a prop that I'm leaning towards here, but I do think that it's a very the total is pretty on point. The spread's pretty on point. I'm going to be checking to see if any lines move in a certain way that I can get behind, but right now nothing. Pittsburgh, though, I don't think that as good as Aaron Rodgers has been playing, I don't think he plays that great against this Chargers defense. They've just been too good. I actually think, if anything, they might be able to run the ball, which is a shocker because they haven't been able to do that all season. They've been terrible at running the ball, but the Chargers continue to suck at stopping the run. So maybe Warren can have a decent game here. You can tell that they're trying to get him going the last couple of weeks. I don't think that Pittsburgh's going to be able to throw the ball. I think they're going to lean on the run, and if they have success, that they have no problem running the ball until they don't have success. On the Chargers side, I think the Chargers, they've been decent through the air, but Pittsburgh has been equally as good at defending the pass. So I would consider that matchup a wash. And on the ground, I think the Chargers have been good on the ground, honestly, but this Pittsburgh defense is playing much better. Look at what they just did against Jonathan Taylor and the Indy offense. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had 45 yards, and yeah, maybe it's because they were losing for a majority of the game, but it's not like he didn't do anything in the first half and in the third quarter. It's not like they were just throwing the ball the entire time to do it. Jonathan Taylor is still one of their best players. So I think that they might be able to stop the run here against the Chargers. My lean here is actually Aaron Rodgers under 216.5 passing yards at -120 on Hard Rock Bet. I really think that they're going to struggle to throw the ball, and they might have success running the ball. Like I said, this is going to be a little bit repetitive, but if they're going to be running the ball decently well, which I think that they might, they're not going to have a reason to throw the ball. And even if they try to throw the ball, the Chargers defense is top tier, in my opinion. So I don't think they have success even when they do go to do that. So, that's Aaron Rodgers under passing yards for me. And I like Keenan Allen to get into the end zone at +210 on Bet365.
Keenan Allen, end zone. When it comes to Chargers receivers, everybody who watches stream knows that I just really pick out the prices of who I think is mispriced. Like last week, we did it with QJ. We've hit it with Ladd a few times. We hit it with Keenan a few times. Done definitely a better lucky than good situation where I'm picking the right numbers, but definitely no disagreements. And if you're getting 2-1, if Keenan's the best price between Ladd and QJ, I'm betting Keenan. If Ladd has the best price, I'm betting Ladd, so on and so forth. With that Chargers target share, that does they have 3 very viable receiver options there. So I lean over Jake with Keenan Allen touchdown and Aaron Rodgers under passing yards. But Jake, let's finish off with arguably the best game of the week. I say arguably, but from a quick scroll, if we talk about the game, probably is the best game of the week.
Honestly.
NFC heavyweights, Packers, Eagles. Packers coming off a loss as a 13.5-point favorite at home to the Panthers. Birds fresh off a little bit of a break there. In Lambeau again, Packers laying 2.5. So Green Bay actually being favored over the defending Super Bowl champs who have had their bit of an up and down season. But I've everybody watches and Jake, as you know, I'm still Team Birds. I think Birds are still great. What are your thoughts here on this game? Because honestly, the Packers have been playing down to their competition, but I'm getting, in my opinion, wrong team favored. Honestly, give me the Eagles.
Amen to that. It's bang, bang, bird gang for me. I think Philly's going to be able to throw the ball all over Green Bay. Jalen Hurts has turned up the last month, especially throwing the ball ever since basically being chirped about not being able to throw the ball. All that nonsense was going through the air, and every single year, I feel like every single year, and I don't like the Eagles at all. I'm not an Eagles fan. I don't really support them. My college roommate is a diehard Eagles fan, so trust me, there's nothing more than I would have liked for them to lose. But they're always getting shit talked every single year. They start the Chiefs start 2-3. You don't hear anything about it. The Eagles start 2-3. Fire Sirianni. Like, that's just how it goes in Philly. And then they win and they go and win a Super Bowl or make it to a Super Bowl. Same thing. Oh, AJ Brown is not happy there. AJ Brown is reading books on the sideline. They suck. Well, they go win the Super Bowl. AJ Brown doesn't get traded. He's happy. He's scoring. He's still their go-to guy when they get a big first down on 3rd and 13. They're going to AJ Brown and he's getting that shit. So I don't know what all the chirps are going to come their way regardless. Also, not being able to run the ball all season probably led to them throwing the ball more the last couple of weeks, the last month or so. Obviously, they assumed they were going to be able to run the ball with Saquon pretty efficiently based on what he did last year. And that hasn't been the case. So I think that actually put a damper on their pass game early in the season where they were throwing on it was 3rd and 9 every time when they were throwing. They were giving the ball to Saquon 1 or 2 times in a row. He wasn't getting anything. 3rd and 9. Like, what do you think they're going to do? So once they made that change where they're more pass heavy and it's opened up the run for Saquon as well. But Jalen Hurts is showing that he is an efficient passer. He's one of the best. He has one of the best QBRs in the league right now. And like I mentioned earlier, who was I talking about running the ball? Oh, Bijan Robinson, I believe. Like guys like Bijan, guys like Saquon, like you can never count them out. He could still go for 150 on any given day. Green Bay run defense it isn't bad, but I think Saquon can still run the ball pretty well on Monday. On the Green Bay side, they've been very good through the air, but Philly's pass defense is top 4 behind Denver, Houston, and the Chargers. So that's great company to be in when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I don't know what they're going to be able to do, especially coming off of a terrible loss. Running the ball, that's where the Phillies been weak on the defensive side, is stopping the run, but Green Bay has been very underwhelming on the ground. So I don't really know how to read that matchup there, but I think you're right. I think the wrong team is favored. I have a lean on Philly plus 116 on the money line. That's on FanDuel. I think this is close to a wash of a game. If anything, I give the edge to Philly coming off the bye, and then Green Bay is coming off of a bad loss. But I do have a best bet in this play, Eric, and it's not Philly money line. It's A.J. Brown to score a touchdown at plus 190 on Hard Rock Bets. Lots of rumors about him getting traded at the deadline. I don't think that was ever even in the mix, and everyone was like, how did he not get traded? What all the bull crap I was just talking about 2 minutes ago. They're going to feed this guy, and he might have 2 or 3 touchdowns. We might see a Drake London type of game from him this week on primetime TV. Everyone's going to be watching it unless you have YouTube TV. They totally chatted me last week. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know how to watch it. There's no Stream East. There was no YouTube TV. I was like following it on my phone. I felt so out of my place. I almost had to drive to Duffy's down the street to go watch
it. Yeah, tough situation with that, all of that. But no, we're in total agreement here. Also, like we haven't mentioned, but like the Tucker Kraft injury, I think is just so damn big. Like he is their wide receiver 1. He's their number 1 option. He's their best overall target, their most reliable guy there. Pick up, tough yardage guy there. Do everything tight end. And I think that losing him is a lot worse than I think everyone realizes how bad it is, but I think it really is a lot worse. I think Green Bay will have a chip on their shoulder, and Jordan Love, it's a guy who I do really like, but I like him too. I don't think Green Bay has shown enough to like show me that they're better than the defending champs, and we're getting plus money with the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles. And I think to me that's kind of enough said there, Jake. So we went through a ton here, and we have a parlay to craft. But let's run through everything that we lean and like in a bet, player props, all things, everything, and then we'll lock in our parlay right now. So Jake leaned to the under in Raiders Broncos. Jake leaned to the Colts. To the Falcons plus 6.5 against the Colts. I lean to the under. Jake, play or lean on the Bears?
That's a play. That's locked in.
Chicago Bears. Jake got a great number. Bet the Bears. I have a strong lean to the over in that game. I have a strong lean to Miami plus 9.5. Miami also on the money line for the plus chicken. And Jake with a leaner play on the first half total over.
It's a lean right now. It'll probably be a play, but it's a lean. I want 24. That's why. I'm greedy.
Yes, sir. I have a strong lean to Tampa Bay. Jake with a play on Patriots Buccaneers over. Lean on Panthers minus 5.5 for me. Jake lean on Jets money line. Me play on Texans and Jaguars under 38. There's a 38 out there. Jake and I collab play basically at this point. Ravens minus 3.5. Jake play or lean on Seahawks Cardinals under.
It's a lean.
Lean on Seahawks Cardinals under. Me play on Detroit minus 7.5, over 49.5. Detroit minus 20.5. Detroit team total over 39.5. That's plus 470, plus 520 at FanDuel. Jake, player lean on the Rams minus 4.
Play. It's official play right there.
Absolutely. Lean for me on the over in Steelers Chargers, and both of us play on Philly money line. If there are touchdowns that we bet as well or looked at, Outlier had a bit of an issue here because some of these left the bet slip, but Odunze touchdown, RJ Harvey touchdown, Baker Mayfield touchdown, HN, Downs, Kyle Pitts, Ted McMillan, Christian Kirk, TJ Hawkinson, Marvin Harrison, Jameson Williams 2+, Jahmyr Gibbs 2+, Amon-Ra anytime, Higbee touchdown, Keenan touchdown, AJ Brown touchdown, and some other props you sprinkled in. Aaron Rodgers under passing yards. I had Troy Franklin under longest receptions. And Jake, anything that I missed from there?
No, other than, did you say AJ Brown is an official play?
AJ Brown is an official play for the touchdown. So for Jake,
that's a real touchdown play.
Okay, Jake. Now the moment everybody's been waiting for. Let's craft this parlay. I think the two legs that are beyond obvious from our perspective, and with Outlier, you can line chop your parlays right on Outlier. So this is going to be awesome.
Perfect.
Eagles money line and Ravens money line. Enough said.
Yeah, didn't we also like wasn't there a touchdown score we liked early on? Was it Harvey?
We both liked Harvey, yes.
Do we want to add that? I mean, that's some nice, it'll cancel out if we want to if we're taking the money line for Baltimore. We can always dabble.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Lions minus 7. I'm down to alternate lines to like 14.5 if you want to get crazy, or we could just take the 7.5 there. But Lions.
Well, we can see. Let's see what it's like with 7.5, and if it's a nice payout, then there's no need to get greedy. You could just do that on your straight plays on your own dollar. But I guess this is technically your dollar. But I like Chicago as well. Chicago is one of the plays I like. If we want to throw their money line in there, I mean, I'm also cool taking an alternate spread at like 2.5.
So if we just go and keep things simple with Detroit spread, Eagles money line, Bears money line, and Ravens money line, we're getting a plus 750 at FanDuel. Does that satisfy our needs, or do we want to get more DGen? I kind of want 10-1. It's on my dollar. I want 10-1.
Yeah. Well, it's technically on my dollar. Don't get it confused. Okay, it's my $20. I won that. I won it from you, but we're doing this for the people. I wouldn't mind. What do you think of the Rams or that New England Tampa Bay over?
I can definitely co-sign the New England Tampa Bay over.
That, or I wouldn't be opposed. I know you're already throwing in an alternate spread, or you're doing the Detroit minus 7.5. I wouldn't mind throwing in their team total over too. So we have options. I mean, there's a decent.
That would be probably like too much correlation though, where it's not worth it. I wish I had 365.
Well, I was thinking the same. You just were very enthusiastic about Detroit.
Yeah, but I'll never not let the price dictate. I'm not
I
betting.
know.
I'm
All
not.
right,
I'm
cool.
betting the parlay. I'm not betting. I'm not making it worse by bidding some.
I'm just throwing
correlated
options
bets.
out there. I'm just giving us options from another leg. See if we can get that 10-1.
So if we go Bucks at 48.5, we're at 10-1. 48 is only at MGM, which doesn't have some of the other legs again because they're doing a little bit of like alternates here at times. But FanDuel, that gets us 15.67. Bears money line, Ravens money line, Eagles money line, Commies. Lions spread, and then Patriots Buccaneers over 48.5. That
Wow.
is
Why do I like that so much?
15.67.
That's it right there. And what are we gonna do if it hits? So, what is that? It would be $20 to pay out.
I'll tell you all right in 12 seconds because I'm about to bet it. We'll see right here on FanDuel. 15, that's 20 to win. 313.48. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Betting on my phone here, loading it up. Outlaw, you can share these links as well. So I'm going to post the link here if anybody wants to tail, though I do not recommend tailing because you're getting paid out if it hits anyway. But sharing the link regardless for people on YouTube and Twitch. And let's see, 20 bones.
Cool. And then when this hits everybody, we'll do a giveaway. Maybe what would you say is maybe two $50 giveaways or something? We'll put out a tweet or something about it, right, Eric? And
absolutely,
we'll figure something out.
I'll tell Evan. That's my best boy. No, we will absolutely do a giveaway. I'll make a
either $100 giveaway or like two $50 giveaways or something.
We'll spread the wealth of the boys. Let's do two $50 giveaways.
Cool. We'll do that. We'll keep up with the BetSmart account or my Twitter account, and we'll let you guys know how you can enter that, whether we'll pick someone random that likes one of our posts or something, or maybe we'll find something more creative than that, but we'll let you guys know in the next day or so.
Absolutely. So shout out to everybody for hopping in and staying with us. It's been 2 hours. We love doing it. So shout out to you guys. Make sure you're following at Money Badger Bets on X to see Jake's tweets and at Go Bet Smart to see mine. Watching on YouTube, hit that like button. It goes a really long way. And hit the subscribe button as well. Closing in on over 230 subscribers. So absolutely loving that. We hit the 230 mark. So trying to get 250 is the next milestone. Try to get there by the end of the week. I'll be streaming again 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. Normally it's right before kickoff, but tomorrow will be an early stream. And I'll be back on Sunday as always, boys. So shout out to everybody for being here. I appreciate you all, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you, boys.